Welcome to the Observe Day podcast, the show where we celebrate the days that matter. From holidays to meaningful observances, we bring you inspiring conversations, stories, and ideas to make each day count. Whether it's raising awareness, learning something new, or simply sparking joy, this is your space to explore the calendar in a whole new way. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to share today's observance with you. Let's dive in. Dr. Fred Moss has spent over 4 decades inside the world of psychiatry and much of that time questioning how we talk about mental health in the first place. Known as the Undoctored, Fred brings a deeply human, unscripted approach to conversations about diagnosis, identity, and healing. What Bipolar Day offers a powerful moment to explore not just bipolar disorder, but how labels shape the way people are seen, treated, and understood. Drawing from his experience as a psychiatrist, coach, author, and fellow human, Fred invites us to move beyond clinical definitions and into curiosity, presence, and connection. This conversation isn't about fixing people, it's about listening more honestly to what it means to live, feel, and be human. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Fred.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Wisdom.
When you hear the word bipolar day, what does it stir in you personally, being as someone who's worked in various capacities in the psychiatry and talking to humans?
So, Wisdom, I'm not sure that I am really the right guest for this question because it turns out that I'm not a diagnosing psychiatrist. I don't buy any of the diagnoses, and I don't buy bipolar as a diagnosis, to be honest. I have it be that we have a certain degree of range of our moods and our behaviors. And there's no such thing as having too wide of moods. There's no such thing as like too much that, I'm too depressed, I'm too manic, I'm too this, I'm too that. I'm not going with that direction. Instead, I just go with the direction that people, they are who they are, and the psychiatric diagnosis that they receive doesn't really serve them to be a positive experience. So people like hearing that they have bipolar disorder because then it helps them relinquish responsibility for some of their life decisions. What I'm suggesting is that bipolar disorder may not be nearly as real as people think it is. And in fact, maybe people accept that diagnosis so that it helps them sort of have an answer for their impulsive decisions that takes away their own responsibility for their behaviors in difficult times.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is like some persons I think I don't know what they call where they're like how do I explain that? It's if they do anything and you try to say something like, oh, it's part of my trauma, and before you say one thing and say it's part of my trauma, and they're like, it's part of my trauma, and you can't even say two sentences and you're like, oh, you would understand this it's part of my trauma, and like, can we just have a conversation without you just saying it's part of my trauma, it's part of my trauma?
Right, exactly. And that's what's really here is the opportunity to really see that maybe the diagnosis in and of itself is questionable. And if you don't take on the idea that there's something wrong with you, then you won't even need to go get a doctor or start any medications that tend to make people worse anyways.
Can you recall a time when someone felt reduced by a label? Like when I say label, I mean the diagnosis label, where like, oh yeah, I'm bipolar, and I'm this, I'm that, and it seems as though that's all there is to them.
Yeah, every day, including today, every day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, people take on their diagnosis as if it's real, and maybe there is nothing real about it. When you say you have bipolar disorder, maybe you're not really telling the truth. Maybe you're giving up the responsibility for the parts of your life that you're not proud of.
Well, what you're saying is a bold stand, right? Saying that you whatever the illness is, it's not how do I explain? How do I put? I'm trying to put it in my own words. It's not, you are not the bipolar, basically, right? And you have other parts of your life beyond just having bipolar or whatever the diagnosis might be, and and that most people use the diagnosis as an excuse for not taking responsibility for what they should be taking responsibility
Again,
for.
I don't know that I would call it an excuse because that's not quite fair. I think that it is an opportunity to relinquish responsibility for your life. Most people really do believe that they're not responsible for their life when they say they have a psychiatric diagnosis, that all of a sudden they're not responsible. People say, that wasn't me, that was my bipolar disorder. That wasn't me, that was my ADHD. That
Yeah.
wasn't me, that was my PTSD. Well, maybe not. It's been you the whole time, and you could take responsibility for the difficulty that we have in life. It's very hard to be alive. It's very challenging to be alive in the present times, for sure.
Yeah. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to invite you to join the Observe Day newsletter. Every week, I send you highlights of upcoming observances, creative ways to celebrate, and behind-the-scenes extras from the shows. It's the perfect way to stay inspired and never miss a meaningful moment. Sign up today at observeday.com/join. That is observeday.com/join. Now let's get back to the conversation. Okay, now it's making sense. I mean, you do have an approach. When I was reading the intro, I said the undoctor approach. How does your undoctor? What is the undoctor philosophy in the
So
first
the
place?
undoctored philosophy uses unconventional means to provide unconditional love and to help people undiagnose, like take themselves out of their diagnosis, and also help people unmedicate, take themselves off the medications that are not helping, and then undoctrinate, meaning so they don't have to visit a psychiatric doctor ever again in their entire life.
Wow, wow, that's a great transformation.
It is. I'm happy with it, and I
Yeah,
help a lot of people get through that.
yeah. I'm curious. How does this philosophy reframe the conversations around mental health conditions compared to what is out there?
How does it reframe?
The conversations around mental health conditions compared to what
Well,
is out there.
again, I don't give people diagnoses.
Yeah, you said that.
That changes everything. That changes everything from the ground up, because people, when you go to a psychiatrist, you automatically get a diagnosis because they won't pay. If you don't have a diagnosis, nobody will get paid.
Yeah.
So they have to give you a diagnosis. So then you have to accept that diagnosis. And then the reason you take medicine is you think you actually have a diagnosis, when really all you have is the troubles of being alive. The human condition is very difficult.
Wow. 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 This is undoctored. This is unconventional. This is different from the norm. So,
Yeah.
could you paint a picture of what it looked like, right? If someone, because a lot of persons are so used to seeing a psychiatrist and getting a diagnosis that trying to phantom what it would look like not to get a diagnosis when you see a psychiatric is hard to even understand in the first place. I don't know if that makes sense. So if someone meets you, what's the process like?
Well, they meet me. I have a discussion with them about their trials and tribulations, and I let them know that maybe there's nothing wrong with them. And if nothing's wrong with them, maybe they don't need medicine or a treatment plan. Maybe what they really need more than anything is someone to connect with them, someone to understand their human condition, someone to understand the difficulties that they're having. In that process, connect and communicate with them. Because as you already know, when we connect with somebody, magic happens. A power of healing takes place at that moment. There's no medicines or diagnosis that create that magic. That magic only happens in the face of a human connection.
The traditional sense is diagnosis and then a bunch of pills and a bunch of drugs to take. And so my question is, what gets overlooked in that system compared to when we focus on understanding, which is what you do, and connection?
Well, what gets overlooked is that the diagnosis makes you worse,
Wow.
and medications are designed to make you worse. So medications are not designed to help; they're designed to keep you buying medication.
Oh, that's strange.
No, it isn't. You know that. You know it's true. You know, the big pharma is making billions of dollars per day, and the reason they're doing that is because they don't want to help you. They want to make it so that you think you need these medicines every month. It's not like it's a problem. It's not big pharma's fault. If no one's forcing people to take medicine. You're only taking it because you think there's something wrong with you. But what if you learned that there was never anything wrong with you in the first place?
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't have to take medicine or accept the diagnosis.
But usually when people see the doctors and when I say doctor, I'm talking, though in the context of this conversation, of course, we're talking about psychiatry and mental health and not not the other illness. I just want to point that out so people don't take this conversation out of context. And yeah, what happens is when you see a professional doctor, right, and they say something, right, it's usually we take the word as law. And I think that's what happens in most cases in society. We take it as law. And if they say you have what's depression, bipolar, what's the list, the long list, we take it as law.
Yeah, anxiety, depression, bipolar, PTSD, autism, the spectrum, schizoaffective disorder, the narcissistic personality disorder, insomnia, all those things. Yeah. So, what is the question?
The question is, what would someone who's been given such diagnosis, what would you? Because right now, what they yeah, I have not been given that that diagnosis, but I'm shocked. I'm surprised. Like this is like new, but also it makes sense. What would you recommend them do the next step for people who've been diagnosed who they've been reduced by their labors and they feel like they're no longer in control of their life, there's nothing they can do, and they're doomed? Basically, that's what they feel like
Well,
because
that's up to them. They can feel that way if they want. And the medicines help you feel doomed. There's a part of the medicines that help you feel that you're never going to get better. And the diagnosis, you can tell when you do get a diagnosis, no one says that it's going to go away in your life, right? No one says
yeah.
you're going to go away in your life. It says that you're going to have this or have a propensity to have it over and over again. And what I'm suggesting is the next moment is not defined. You do not have to be a slave to the habits that brought you to right now.
And when you say habits, what habits are you referring to?
Well, habits of feeling like that you're not responsible for yourself. Habits you feel like, you have impulses and you carry them out, that you can't help yourself from yelling or screaming or doing stupid things or being distracted or, being nervous or being fearful or being sad or being regretful or being resentful. That's the habits that have brought you to now. You've kind of caved in and thought that you don't have anything to say about that it's all happening to you. And you might have forgot that you're the author of all of those things. And there's all sorts of opportunities for you to do something different.
Yeah. Uh, I'm I'm curious. Would you be so kind to share with us, of course, without the names of the clients, but instances where clients had been written off. Okay, so when I mean clients, they've been written off by the traditional system, and if you could share some of the transformation they had, that would be so much appreciated. Of course, without the names and yeah.
So, yeah, I think that people, they think that they have a diagnosis. And when we start looking at the possibility that maybe they don't have a diagnosis, they start to get happy. They start to realize, oh my God, they're the captain of their own life.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's really, really a tremendous amount of liberty as we, help them see a new way of looking at the world. Yeah, that's what I do for a living, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. I said earlier on that uh, the whole system is designed, right? Everything is designed to big from everything is designed to not for our own good per se, but for for the big guys. And yeah, you are telling us that um, it's beyond just it's not a question of just diagnosis of this or that. And I'm 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 curious in terms uh, of the case studies of the people you've worked with. Um, what do you think has been the biggest lie per se that they've been made to they've been they've been made to believe?
What is the biggest lie?
Yeah, they've been made to believe.
Yeah, the biggest lie is that there's anything wrong with you. maybe there's not anything. Being uncomfortable does not mean there's something wrong with you. I think that's what we're really talking about.
Yeah, being uncomfortable does not really. But sometimes it looks like, because sometimes it looks like there are signs.
Sometimes it looks like what?
There are signs. Like, I mean, it looks like there are signs.
Like there's signs?
Yeah, sometimes it looks like there are signs that says that there's something wrong with them. What do we say? What do you say about that?
Well, just because you're uncomfortable does not mean that there's anything wrong with you. So, yeah, I just have it be that even if there's signs that people are sad or they're scared or they're anxious or they're nervous or they're distracted or they're helpless or they're hopeless, that this still doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you just because you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, you talked about human connection. You said sometimes what is wrong is just the human condition and nothing else. I like that phrase. That's the statement, human condition. And you talk about connection. What are some when you say connection, that's in a sense in itself it's a bit abstract. What are you what are some of the ways um, you help clients with those connection?
Um, I think that the best way to connect with somebody is to get their experience.
Okay.
Is to actually connect with them and understand that their experience is something you can relate to too. If you allow yourself to do that, you can see that you understand how they got to be who they got to be. And
Yeah.
when we connect, that's when we really get somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, um, I am a listener. I have been struggling with uh, a diagnosis, and I'm listening to this, and it's making sense. What's the next step you'd recommend?
Um, if it's making sense that there's nothing wrong,
Yeah. So what you're saying is making sense, right? And they're like, okay, so what's the next step? Like, what do I,
next step is
yeah,
we have programs that we can look at in replacing this idea that there's something wrong with how you can get to just be another human. And when we get to just being another human, we start off with a new level of freedom, a new level of possibility, a new level of being able to see the world through new eyes and to leave ourselves free and powerful, even in the face of a diagnosis that we have agreed to take on.
oh, where can they access the programs? That's what I'm talking about.
I think the best place to access the programs
Yeah.
is to just go to drfred360.com, drfred360.com, and there you can set up a discovery call with me. And we can talk about the best way that I might be able to help you.
Okay. And that's once again drfred360.com. I'll put a link in the description so that listeners can click and go directly to the site. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me and just helping me make sense that sometimes all that is wrong is just a human condition, and we're looking for connection, and that's it.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Fred. That's it for today's episode of the Observe Day podcast. Thank you for spending your time with us as we explore today's observance. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend who'd love to celebrate life special days too. Don't forget to join the newsletter at observeday.com/join for more observance stories, tips, and updates. Until next time, keep finding meaning in every day.